Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love, with those you love to do them with. Guys, we've got an interesting story to talk to you about. We've got two, actually. We've got Tottenham stuff. Don't worry. We're gonna get on with the Tottenham stuff. And it's all about Paratici's imminent arrival. And we have, get rid of that shield thing, that frame, don't like it. And we also have some transfer news, views, and clues for you. But primarily, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more today about this West Ham story because, in a nutshell, I think that this could be the start of essentially the final nail in the coffin of financial fair play and PSI as we know it. There's lots of reasons to think that it's a one-way direction of travel towards a removal, a revocation of all the rules. We've seen it already happen at Christmas time, November time, with Manchester City winning their court case regarding third-party transactions. We've seen, as a consequence of that, the Premier League clubs deciding to shelve their plans that were supposed to come in for next season that would mimic the 70% squad cost ratio rules that are in place for UEFA participants that was going to be set at 85% for Premier League participants. That was shelved as a consequence of no one really being clear on the opaque nature of what the third-party transactions being unwound really meant. The inability or the ability, we're not sure, for ownership to be able to take loans out against their club at essentially zero or very near zero interest rates, deemed at whatever price point the owners wanted to do. And we've also seen some of the fallout from various ownership models that have a little bit of a finger in every pie. So as I've chewed through this West Ham story, it's quite insane. It's almost a little bit incestuous, guys. I've just demonetized myself for sure by saying that word. Sensational start to the day. Smash a like button, make me feel better. Smash a like, smash a subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop some comments. We've also seen, guys, this ability for certain teams to utilize essentially what is called, what is essentially inflating the valuation metrics based on revenue streams of to ridiculous levels for things that are participants in or subsidiaries of the football club. Think of hotel sales from Chelsea, left arm to the right arm and loan it back, right? Think about the valuation of Chelsea's football team. Chelsea sold their football team to themselves to Blueco, and Blueco is an important name here because that's the vehicle that Todd Boehly owns. And they sold the women's football team for 200 million, right? But obviously, the money came straight back into the club. That was a way for them to circumvent the rules of FFP and PSR last year. Now, recently, Chelsea women have just taken another stake. Someone has bought into. His name is Alexis Ohanian, who is the husband of Serena Williams, the tennis superstar. And he bought an 8% stake in the Chelsea women's team for £20 million, which essentially values that club at that women's team at £245 million, which in a nutshell immediately validates the valuation of which Todd Boehly paid for himself, for his own club, to be able to move the money around on a piece of paper, as we've been speaking about forever on this channel. And the issue is, right, that valuation at £245 million is 20 times the revenue that Chelsea's women's team creates. Now, I don't want to bore anybody here. So, I usually speak at like 1,000 miles an hour. I'm going to slow this one down. So hopefully, if you guys are interested, then I'll try my best to keep it, layman's level, so that you don't have to be someone who's, familiar with all this stuff. But when you're trying to value businesses, there's a million different methods that you can use, right? Depending on the type of business, depending on the industry that it's in, there's different structures, there's different styles, there's different mechanisms or models that you can use that value businesses in certain different ways. In the stock market, most of the time, people talk about something called price to earnings ratio, which is the price of the company if you were in the market cap. So you take the market cap, right? The market capitalization is essentially the price of the share. Say there's a million shares in issue and they cost £10 a share, then the market capitalization is £10 million. That's how much the company's worth. The price per share times the amount of shares. And then depending on how much revenue or earnings, depending on the two models, it might be revenue, but more often than not, it's earnings, i.e. profitability, before tax and depreciation. How many years would it take for you to meet that particular market cap based on the amount of earnings that that company has made in the last 12 months? And depending on the industry you're in and what are the standard multipliers, then you can essentially figure out whether or not a company is overvalued or undervalued against its peers by the ratio of the price against its earnings. Okay, you won't have to remember this stuff because I'm in a minute, but this is the idea. And so when you're looking at the Chelsea team, the women's team, when they have a 20 times multiplier, i.e., that valuation is 20 times the amount of revenue, that wouldn't be in any way, shape, or form normal, allowed, or a realistic mechanism for anything like a football team or any kind of established business. Those sorts of multipliers are usually found more in the lines of like tech companies where they have like massive growth potential because of the industry that they're in and because depending on what's happening and depending on the side of what they're doing, you can get companies that are trading at 100 times their earnings or even 500 times in short periods. But you can get a gauge as to whether they're undervalued or overvalued based on their multiplier. Chelsea's women's team, because it's a nascent industry, it's a relatively new slice of the footballing industry. All of a sudden, 20 times earnings, 20 times the multiplier is actually okay because it's fledgling. And what that means in a nutshell is that now every other Premier League team who has a women's team is going to look at that and essentially go, well, now we can start to round up and roll up the multiplier on our own valuations. And in so doing, can get money, can get debt, can get investment, can sell to themselves if they want to at ridiculously inflated prices because Chelsea have done it. And now it looks like Aston Villa are about to do it, who Aston Villa are slowly fast becoming my biggest hated team. And on top of that, guys, there is now essentially, because of the way that the Premier League works, in as much as 3 teams go up and they usually go down, then there's a big gulf between the teams that are in the Premier League and the teams that come up and go back down again. And so with the idea that relegation for teams like Tottenham, Man United, maybe West Ham, because those teams are not going to go down, because there's always going to be 3 teams that are worse than in all likelihood. It's not completely risk-free, but for most part, most people would say the threat of relegation is for an established Premier League team is fairly slim. Then valuation metrics go up again because the threat of revenue drops from being in the Championship are essentially null and void. And in a world where in 3 years' time, the Premier League get to vote again on their next TV broadcast deal, which in all likelihood is looking like it's going to be no longer with Sky, no longer with the broadcasters. It will probably become taken in-house by the owners of the Premier League and then turned into some sort of Netflix for sport, at which time they'll be able to treble the amount of money that they can get from their broadcast deals. Then you can see that it's an incredibly lucrative and desirable space for people to be in because there's little risk of revenue drops. There's a huge amount of potential for the revenue to go up. And on top of that, they can now value themselves, value the side gigs of their business at incredibly inflated multipliers relative to what they could normally do, which allows them to access debt at certain price points and allows them to essentially raise money relative to their valuations that can allow them to compete if you have ambitious owners that have deep pockets. And all of those three factors are combining right now with what you're seeing happening at West Ham. This is a story that I brought to you yesterday, but I'm going to go into it in a little bit more detail. And let me know if I'm boring you. Let me know if this stuff isn't of interest to you. If it isn't, you probably shouldn't be subscribed. But I do hope you're subscribed. I do hope you find this stuff interesting, right? Because there's so much overlap. If you remember before, last summer, I think it was, I was talking about MCP Capital, right? And the £100 million that they had that was involved and invested in the Everton deal with Mashiri for the stadium. And then the Friedkin Group came in and saved the day and got the MCP Capital out. But MCP Capital were caught up in a whole load of shenanigans in Europe because of their multi-club ownership. And there was a lot of like misrepresentations of valuations and how they were robbing Peter to pay Paul from their own investors to be able to make ends meet. And the whole thing looked like it was built on a house of sand. Built on a house of sand, is that the phrase? A house built on sand? Whatever the phrase is, you know what I'm saying. So was that just popped in here to let you know I despise the new clickbait thumbnails you started using? All right. I appreciate your feedback. Ta-da. Anyway, right. So here's the story. So West Ham have four owners at the moment, right? Or four majority owners. They have Sullivan, who owns about 39%. They had the Gold family. Now, David Gold, he died a few years ago. I think him and his daughter died at the same time. I'm not sure what happened, but it was apparently quite tragic. And they left. So Vanessa Gold, his other daughter, was left his 25 give or take percent stake. And that's been caught up in probate for the last few years, figuring out who owns what and what's going to happen. It's now been released from probate and they put that money up for sale. There's a guy called Kinsky who owns the LA Dodgers and the LA Lakers, who also owns 8% of West Ham. And what he's trying to do essentially is to buy out Vanessa Gold's 25% and Kretinsky 25%. And if so doing, he will then have 60% and be able to outvote. I'm sorry. Kretinsky is the guy who owns 27%. There's a guy called Trip Smith, who owns 8%. And he wants Kretinsky's 27%. He wants Gold's 25%. And then he'll have combined 60% that will essentially outvote Sullivan. So he'll have 60%. Sullivan will have about 40%, give or take. Now, what's interesting, guys, is that Trip Smith currently is working with a guy called Mark Walter to fund for this bid. And they are from Guggenheim Partners, who have £260 billion under assets, who also own 13%. Mark Walter owns 13% of Chelsea. And Kretinsky currently owns 12.7% of Blueco, who is Todd Bowley's vehicle that owns Chelsea. Now, Trip Smith, the guy who wants the 60% ownership of West Ham, also owns and is working with a guy who is a part owner of a vehicle that is essentially the investment vehicle of Blackstone Group. Right? Blackstone Group, you may remember from a previous video that we did where we talked about Blackstone Group as a potential buyer under David Blitzer. David Blitzer is owner or part owner of Crystal Palace. Right? So you have, let's just break this down for you. Right? You have current owner of West Ham, who's a minority owner of West Ham and can't control anything. He wants out. He is also a bit part owner of Blueco that owns Chelsea. Chelsea are owned by Clearlake Capital, who have a majority shareholder who happens to be the PIF fund who own Newcastle. Right? Newcastle United last summer did lots of shenanigans and deals with Chelsea, lots of loan deals and transfers between Chelsea and Aston Villa with Saudi Arabia. Manchester City are part of the Abu Dhabi group. If you remember, the last time the rules were voted on, around FFP and PSR, the initial set of rules that were to move towards the 85% PSR threshold, there were 5 clubs that voted against. Well, there were 4 clubs that voted against and 1 club that abstained. Chelsea abstained, which is essentially a vote against, because you need to vote in favour of the rule change for it to happen. There needs to be 14 teams. So if 6 teams vote against, then it can, and 14 teams vote for a change, it can pass. But if 7 teams, or if 6 teams and an abstention happens, then no further rule changes will be made. Now, given we are walking into a world where we've already parked the intended changes towards 85% PSR thresholds because Manchester City's 115 charges are not yet known, and they should be. They were promised to us in March. But on top of that, because they won their third-party transactions deal, court case against the Premier League, and everything was put on ice. In the meantime, you now have a situation where Chelsea, who were one of the teams that were dissident, that voted against, and Newcastle United, and Manchester City, and Aston Villa, and Nottingham Forest were the 5th. Now, what you also... let me know if you're still with me. Let me know if you're still with me here. But what you also have right now is teams that are coming up who will be part of the voting block, who have multi-club ownership, who have owners with deep pockets and relationships with the Middle East, who may be more likely to join in a world where there's a back-scratching seminar that goes on. On top of that, if West Ham are now bought out and have majority voting rights by this guy, Trip Smith, who's mates with and is part owner of Blackstone, who also own Crystal Palace, David Blitzer's mate, who owns Crystal Palace, and you have Mark Walter, who is going to be being the financier for the West Ham deal to allow this guy, Trip Smith, to actually take over Vanessa Gold's stake and also... and the Kinsky stake, then they have relationships with Chelsea, who don't want any more tightening or any more loopholes to be closed around FFP because they love doing it. And these guys are all now taking advantage of the women's team thing, which is the second story. I started with it, but the second story is that West Ham are now looking to do the same thing, as are, wait for it, Aston Villa. The team that needs to get their number from 98% on the squad cost ratios down to 70% by the end of this summer or by Christmas time, because they are participating in Europe. And they, at the moment, despite their increase in revenue, which will be reflected on next season's books, their revenue streams will still struggle to get them to that threshold. And so they're either going to have to sell their left arm to their right arm and loan it back, i.e. their women's team, or they're going to have to sell a couple of their superstar players, like, I don't know, Emi Martinez to Saudi Arabia, like, I don't know, Bailey to Saudi Arabia, just like last year they sold John Duran. So this is concerning for me, because if West Ham suddenly join under their new ownership structure, join forces with Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle City, and Chelsea, then you only need one more club. And then there will be no more FFP. There will be no more PSR. There will be no more closing of the rules. And if you are a fan of a football club whose owner, whether you love him or hate him, is the poster boy of financial fair play, then he's going to look like a giant hypocrite if he does what I've been asking him to do and everybody else has been asking him to do, which is to start pushing numbers around on his own balance sheets to make it make sense. But if he does that, then the whole argument of FFP that is presented by him in the primary format will be ridiculed and it will be laughed out of the Premier League corridors. Now, I'm just talking about the corridors of curiosity here. I don't know what's going to happen, but if you only need one more club and Crystal Palace are also in bed with the owners of West Ham and Chelsea through Blackstone Group, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out that what's good for the goose is good for the gander if you have these people that are power brokers that are used to dealing with money that has the extra few noughts on the end of it. So the idea of spending obscene money on a player for 50 million or 70 million or whatever else is irrelevant in a world where they have decided that you can inflate the valuations of fledgling elements of your business and you relatively have zero chance of relegation as long as you don't completely screw up. To me, I think that this is, if West Ham this whole West Ham thing shakes up the way it looks like it will, I think this looks like it is game over for FFP and PSR, because there's going to be 7 teams that will say no. And as soon as that happens, as soon as Premier League owners will wake up to that reality, there will be a scrambling towards that side, because you don't want to be the Johnny come lately who's late to the party trying to create relationships. Aston Villa are benefiting right now from getting on board Man City's version, getting on board the Saudi role, getting on board with Chelsea. They benefited from it last summer. I did a video. I said, here are 10 loopholes that have not yet been exploited, that could be exploited by anybody if they just think about it. And number 2 on the list was, why not sell a player that's from your youth academy to another team and buy another player from their youth academy? And if those players are valued at £5 million, do it at 50, because on paper, it doesn't matter. You're buying for 50 and they're buying for 50. You get to amortize yours at 50 for 5 years, but you get the £50 million for the sale immediately. If you have owners that are willing to push money around, then that's what's going to happen. And it happened. It happened 48 hours later. So, I think that this is another example of a future predicament. And I think that other chairmen in the Premier League are going to start walking across that oche, because they don't want to be the last man standing. They don't want to be the last violinist on the Titanic. They want to get in that lifeboat. And there's only 5 lifeboats. One of them is Newcastle, one of them is Chelsea, one of them is City. And we've got an owner who doesn't have too many lifeboat access options, because he's burnt a lot of bridges. So I don't think you need to be a part of the cabal here to to see which way the wind is going. I just think you need to start recognizing that you're going to get left behind unless you start recognizing that there's access to resources right now is crucial. It's crucial because the other teams around us are competitive, they're ambitious, they are used to spending money that is obscenely high. So it's not a threat. They don't care. 100 million quid to them is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's like, that's just like a little side bet. It's a side bet on black or red at the casino. They're not fearful of spending money when they look at the bigger picture. Daniel Levy is making claims that we're poor and that we have to be sustainable. Meanwhile, he's got £300 million sat in 14 subsidiary accounts that may or may not be tied up, right? I don't know what that money's for necessarily. It hasn't been seen. And a lot of those accounts haven't been audited. So, there could be more in there. There could be less now. I don't know. But that's the story. And to me, I think you have to at some point go, is it a runaway train here? I think it is, because there's too much overlap between these businesses. The Guggenheim Partners, Blue Co, Saudi PIF Fund, they might not necessarily they all might have Chinese walls or whatever, but somewhere they are all connected. They are all invested in each other. It's like the financial crisis in 2007, 2008, right? That you pull that game of Jenga, right? You pull out the wrong, or whatever it's called. Jenga, was it Jenga? Yeah, where you push the blocks through. You push the wrong block and the whole thing comes tumbling down. I was thinking of Kaplunk, where you pull out the straws. Also a great game, by the way. But Northern Rock went belly up, right? Northern Rock went belly up, and then everyone was like, what does that mean? I mean, Lloyd's, is that a problem? Well, it shouldn't be, but it is, right? Because all these companies, they all have it's all a tangled web of overlapping interests. And I don't think that there's any space anymore available for teams in the Premier League that are standalone entities that have wholly owned owners that are not on some level involved in either the Middle East consortium money or US private equity. Now, I personally don't really want to get into US private equity kind of relationships, because those guys have 2 questions when they want to enter a football club. what's my entry and what's my exit? And if you're looking for an exit before you even got in, then that shows you the actual interest in the football itself. It's just a vehicle to protect your money, to hold your money, to diversify your investments, and eventually to have a fairly nice, juicy return in a world where there's concern around the property markets, for example. Look at what's happening in China. There is a massive implosion in the property market in China that's been happening slowly for the last 4 or 5 years. But there's now, they've been kicking the can down the road, just like we did post the GFC, printing money, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And eventually it all comes tumbling down by a massive inflation, uncertainty, and lost investments, right? Whereas, so they're people that, if they don't want to get involved in the property market anymore, then maybe they need to put their money somewhere else. Football's obviously a very attractive proposition because you have very little risk. You have a loyal fan base. You have very little risk of going down into the Championship. You have all this massive golden goose egg of the media rights deal that they can organise themselves in a few years' time for the next 10 years and forevermore. And they know that people will always want to go and watch their games, watch their teams, and that there's prize money, there's advertising, and it's a global sport with a global reach. So to me, I worry about this just as a fan of football. I worry about it that the rules around ownership is so, it's black and white. Like you can't own 2 clubs in the same league, right? That's the rule. You're not allowed to be an owner of 2 clubs in the same league. These guys already are. Kinsky is a 27% owner of West Ham right now, and he is also a 12.7% owner of Blueco, which owns 50% or whatever it is of Chelsea. So how the fuck does that happen? You're not allowed to have 2 ownerships in the same club, but they do. Newcastle United's owners do. Just because it's not direct, it doesn't mean that it's not real. Clear Lake Capital, it's not their biggest investor, but it's one of them that is owned by the PIF fund invests in Clear Lake, which invests in Chelsea. The PIF fund directly invests in Newcastle United. That's okay. How is that okay? It shouldn't be okay. The only reason it's okay is because the Premier League are absolutely inept and they don't know how to look. But if you actually pull the onion layer back, and it took me 3 minutes to figure this out, by the way, 3 minutes of just Googling and Wikipediaing and then looking on the websites of a couple of these company names to seeing who their partners are and what their stakes are. It took me 3 minutes. You'd think that the Premier League would be able to do these due diligences because the notion that there's no overlap, there's no conflicts of interest, it's fucking stupid. And to me, I've said this forever. I don't blame Daniel Levy for being romantic with the notion that the rules could be made and be enforced, but clearly they can't. Clearly they won't be. And so I worry, what does that mean? Not just for Tottenham, but especially for Tottenham, but really I worry about what does it mean for football? Because clearly it's a race to the bottom. Clearly it's going to be a deepest pockets wins. And this all started, by the way, in 2000 whenever it was, when 2012, 2010, was it, when Roban Abramovich came in and there were no rules. There were no rules. And then when rules finally got kicked in 2013, by the way, just to make this argument, you think that the effort, so it doesn't have to be West Ham or Palace that could be the dissidents, by the way, because in 2013, when FFP, financial fair play, in its initial instance was first supposed to come into, was brought in, there were 6 teams that rejected it, right on the threshold. And those 6 teams are not the teams you think they were. Fulham rejected it. West Brom rejected it. Manchester City, who weren't the team that they are today, rejected it. Aston Villa, who were not the team that they are today, rejected it. Swansea and Southampton. Aston Villa were on the verge of relegation, I think, a couple of years later. Right, so they weren't a big threat back in the day. And Manchester City were going through 2 or 3 different incarnations of ownership before Abu Dhabi took over a couple of years later, I think that was. But so look at the standard of those teams that rejected it, right? Fulham, West Brom, City, Villa, Swansea, and Southampton. Those teams rejected it because they were worried that this idea of FFP wasn't going to be trying to keep hold of the coattails of the teams at the top from spending ridiculous amount of money and breaking competition. They rejected it because they were worried that it was going to be a closing of the door and keeping the status quo of the teams in the Premier League and locking everybody else out. So don't think of like the rules around FFP and PSR as just being a prohibitor of the teams at the top from spending abnormal amounts of money and the relationships that they have with their various wealth funders or financiers. But there's a massive amount of fear from the people at the bottom that say that this FFP thing just stops us getting into the party. It's like a bouncer on the door. Sorry, you're not coming in. But in reality, it's neither. It's neither a block on the bottom nor like a bottle cap on or a bottleneck on the top. What it is, or what it was supposed to be, was a restriction on ambition, and where ambition meets access to obscene capital from third parties. But that doesn't seem to matter anymore. And so what you might see, it doesn't, as I said, it doesn't need to be Crystal Palace or West Ham. It might be a team like Leeds that come up. It might be another team that pops up from those other two teams, and they want to be a part of the board. They want that to have ambition. They want to be able to access the resources and be a party to whatever opportunities are available through their various connections. And Tottenham Hotspur don't have very many connections in that regard. They haven't got that many friends. We don't have, big investors that are used to dealing in hundreds of £261 billion that Guggenheim Partners works with. Blackstone, I think it's the second biggest assets under management in the game behind BlackRock. And I think BlackRock have got $8 trillion under assets under management. They basically rule the world. They have a stake in every company. And Blackstone are number two. I think it was 2 trillion or 1 trillion or something from memory. So we're talking about serious money, serious numbers, and serious access, right? And to me, it is a wild environment that I think we're sleeping on. And I think that all fans should be concerned about it. Not just, selfishly Tottenham, who, would like to see less competition from Chelsea and, Villa. My argument here is not about, worrying about whether we're going to be able to compete. I worry about the legitimacy of football. So I've always said, guys, like the reason why 92% right now it's 91% of all trophies in the last 25 years have been won by 5 teams. And there's now 9 teams that have won the other 8%, of which 8 of them have only won once. Right? And Leicester is the other team that won twice. It's not because of Daniel Levy or the owner of those clubs. If Daniel Levy's responsible for every failure at Tottenham, then what explains Aston Villa's trophy drought? They used to be just as successful as Tottenham were. Everton, Forest, West Brom, Wolves, Leeds. They all had very successful periods in their past. They're not anymore. For me, it's because of the financial imbalance and the inability for the lawmakers to make a set of cohesive and enforceable rules that actually mean what they say, and they don't. And if West Ham get taken over and this guy Trip Smith, with his relationships to Blackstone and Guggenheim and Mark Walter, who already own Chelsea and already own Crystal Palace in third-party transactions, if he gets to 60% and Sullivan gets outvoted, West Ham will join those 5. They'll become 6. Then you need one more, and then bye-bye FFP. And then we just go back to whatever it was in 2012 when the person comes in and does what they want. It's crazy. I haven't even said hello to anybody. We've got another story to get to as well. Let's have a quick see what's going on. Scott Hyman says, big up to all. You're still not in Bilbao, Sean. Senoritas are waiting, man. Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I can't wait to go. What are we saying? Premier League football is screwed and is the closed shop that everyone was hating about the Super League. That will happen. Make no bones about it. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Slow, logical incrementalism towards outcomes you don't want. It happens in every walk of life where money controls the discourse. It happens in politics. Problem, reaction, solution. Something called the Hegelian dialectic, right? A problem can get created that doesn't really exist. You utilize your resources to manipulate the reaction to that problem that you yourself created, and then you organize the solution to the problem that doesn't really exist or never needed to exist in the first place. The Hegelian dialectic, it's happening in football, it's happening in politics, it's happening in basically every facet, every tacit of life and the world where money rules the roost and where power brokers are grabbing with their fingernails to eke out margins and percentage points. Where did I get to? So basically, more evidence of football being corrupt and no sight of it changing because they cream off the top. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, basically. Why doesn't anyone ever invest in Spurs? Well, we've got an owner that. This is the other thing, right? I'm not really a massive fan of this solution, but there is a solution for Daniel Levy. If he truly thinks that the club is valued at X, 3.75 billion, and he can't find someone that's willing to do it, even though, as I've just laid out, there is a never-ending list of reasons why new investors would want to come in. The problem is that when Daniel Levy becomes aware of those things, like he already is, he just raises the number. There's a phrase in the stock market that says, leave some for the next guy. If you bought some shares, especially as a market maker, if someone sold you some shares when I was a market maker, and then you know the price is going up, even though you might think it will go higher, if you've got a good client that wants to buy some, let him have some and before the top, right? So that he can make a turn out of it as well, because that's the way that you get them to come back and buy more from you in a different time. Good relationships, sometimes you be big in small things. Even if you think you can make more money, let someone else have a slice of it. Be big in small things, leave some for the next guy. Daniel Levy doesn't leave anything for the next guy. He wants whatever peak valuation is, he wants to price in perfection. He is the equivalent of Tyler Dibbling being valued at £100 million. That's the way that he conducts his valuations on his own club. Pricing in perfection, no risk for failure, no risk for errors. And that's problematic. But if Daniel Levy truly believes in the valuation of the football club, and he does think it's 3.75 billion, then in my opinion, what he should do, if he really can't find a buyer, which again, I find difficult to believe given how much desire there is to get on board West Ham. Now, again, I know that, you know, when the valuation of a club is 500 million, there's a lot more fish in the pond that want a slice. But at 3.75 billion, you're ending up kind of you're filtering out most of the viable candidates. But there's still people that would like a slice for sure. I just don't think that he's willing to let it go. And whenever someone expresses an interest at a certain price point, I think he then moves the needle. Says, actually, I want it to be a little bit higher. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. 1 second. Good. I was hoping it wasn't going to be a long sneezing session. So, Trip is the real deal, says Tango Bin Al Sheed. Yeah, it seems like he knows what he's talking about. You know, it's simple because I am. You make it simple because I am. I feel well brainy now. Ignore the haters, Shawnee. Muppets. Appreciate you, Polly. I'm sure you're not simple, but I hope it all made sense. Thank you for the feedback. If you don't want corruption, the best way is how Bundesliga run their league. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, there's a couple of teams in. You still create the haves and the have-nots, right? You've still got the Bayern Munich that can do what they want and they can pay people 300 grand a week. You still got Bayer Leverkusen. The only team that's really broken into that model where they can compete with Bayern Munich is a team that isn't owned by the 50 plus 1% model. Leverkusen are owned by the Bayer company, the pharmaceutical giant, the family that owns that whole town or city. So it's weird that like everybody would be okay with the limitations of a 50 plus 1% model that holds them back and have to get fan approval for everything, who obviously are going to be like, no, we're going to charge little for the tickets. We're going to make it fan friendly and yada, yada, yada. Do everything they can to keep the fans at the forefront of the decision-making process, and that what's good for them is good for the club. And then you've got a couple of teams that are not limited by that they can they focus on profits or whatever else they deem to be important. Leverkusen being one, and then they're the team that are broke into the traditional sort of dichotomy of Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund being the big boys. So the model has to be consistent. Whatever model you want, it shouldn't matter. Everyone should have to play by the same rules. A salary cap might be good. Like the anchoring rule was probably going to work to a better extent, but still had many loopholes in it. And even then, that then got sidelined anyway because of the third-party transactions thing. So, I don't know what the right solution is, but in terms of Tottenham, like if Daniel Levy can't find the Saudi Newcastle owners have billions invested in Clear. Exactly. Yeah, we spoke about this a second ago. Cheers, Red Rebellion. Good to see you, mate. This is why the Premier League is putting a stop to countries owning Premier League clubs. Yeah, after the horse has bolted. They're closing the door after the horse has bolted, right? They're going to see. And oh, by the way, did anyone see that story about the FA Cup final? The Crystal Palace, the goalkeeper, right, Henderson, who clearly handled the ball, and the VAR didn't overturn it. The guy who was in charge of the VAR that day, I forget his name, but he was an ex-Crystal Palace player who played with Ian Wright and Lee Dixon. I think, was it Lee Dixon? Well, Ian Wright definitely, and someone else. And he retired. He was scheduled to retire the day after the FA Cup final and has since done it. So, like, he was never going to overturn that. Like, as much as I'm happy that Crystal Palace won, that's an absolute fucking disgrace if that's the case, that they allowed an ex-Crystal Palace player to VAR on his final day. He don't give a fuck. He's retiring. He's going to go and sit on the beach tomorrow. And he's going to go and sit on the beach knowing that his team have won the cup. It's an absolute disgrace. Corruption at every angle. We're going to see a new top six, says Marshall, just with the same owners. Exactly, mate. Yeah. Yeah. Shawnee, I was listening to one of your old streams when you were talking about suffering from different types of pains all over your body. How did you manage to recover? I'm not sure I have recovered, to be honest, mate. I'm constantly suffering from something. Spursitis. If I'm honest, drinking more water helps. I've never realised that people say I'll drink water, but like, drink water. I know you guys always see me with a cider or whatever, right? But this is like, for me, this is going down the pub. I generally speaking, I'm not drinking all day every day. It's like people go to the pub. If you go to the pub once a week and you see the same guy in there every Friday night, you might be guilty of thinking that guy's an alcoholic. But in reality, he sees you in there every Friday night and thinks the same about you. But in reality, like, neither of you are. You just, you find a way to get you just happen to be in the environment where someone likes to drink, and this is it. But I drink like 4 liters of water a day to help me with the problems I have with pancreas, like my pancreas and gallbladder and liver, and I've got loads of issues, mate. But yeah, water helps. So drink more water. Speaking of which, anyway, Jason Nates finds that's fascinating in a non-sarcastic way. Appreciate you. Incorrect. Unless 14 clubs vote to remove PSR, it won't be going anywhere. Yeah, okay. Well, what I mean is it won't get any tighter. I won't say it's dead. I mean, I think it's dead anyway. Like, it's not dead. It's shit in this current incarnation. But in terms of like tightening, making the rules better, anchoring, all those things that they tried to do, if this ownership takeover thing comes in, then it's going to like I say, you only the next time there's a vote, you only need 2 more teams to say no, and then there's no more changes. And then we're stuck with this version. As I say, you're going to see rats on a ship, like scurrying off towards the side where the money is, where the opportunities are. And you're going to see more and more teams that want to get a part of that Saudi back scratching, because it's happening all the time. Not just in this league, it's happening in other leagues as well. And as I say, I think it's like tiptoe to totalitarianism, to coin a phrase from, who said that? I know David Icke who said that years ago. Tiptoe totalitarianism. Where do we get to? We have the master crook Don Fabio to get him work. Yeah, so let's move on to that story, shall we? The story is that he's back. He's coming back. It's imminent, right? It's imminent. Afternoon, Benny boy. Good to see you, mate. Love that those videos you sent me, mate. They're so funny. Benny sent me a video of myself. My face overlaid on a wrestler, and Ange Postecoglou overlaid on the face of the other wrestler, and the wrestler just goes, "Fuck you!" So funny, so funny. Here's the other story though, right? So Fabrizio Romano. I'll share this screen with you. Let's have a look. How do I share it? Is this the one? Yeah, here we go. So Fabrizio Romano is about to come back in, and he's added Francesco Farioli to the list. Ajax manager. Well, not anymore. I think he left Ajax today. And Tottenham target Farioli One manager potentially in the running to replace the Australian is Farioli, with reports suggesting that Fabio Paratici is keen to bring in the youth coach. Now Romano has reported that Farioli is set to leave Ajax with immediate effect. Saw his Ajax side beaten to the Eredivisie title on the final day by PSV Eindhoven at the weekend. Farioli joined Ajax back in July last year, but he now looks set to depart just one season in charge. It's unclear whether he's moving on due to being offered a new role elsewhere, but it's also been confirmed by Ajax that he's decided to leave. Whether Spurs now make a move remains to be seen, but it could be an ideal opportunity for them to find a Postecoglou replacement. Now, I don't know too much about him, apart from the fact that he bottled it. So maybe he should be going into Arsenal's dressing room rather than our own. But I did get up some information about Farioli and his coaching style, and I'll read it out to you guys. Let me change the screen. Here we go. So Francesco Farioli's coaching style emphasizes attacking football with a strong focus on ball possession, high pressing, and tactical flexibility. He aims to dominate the midfield through quick passing sequences and build attacks from the back, while also adapting to different opponents. Sounds good, right? Philosophically nice, but also adaptable, flexible, and considerate, contemplative of the opposition, which I think we don't have at the moment. We don't have a SWOT analysis type of guy. Ball possession and control. His team prioritizing keeping the ball and controlling the game's tempo through short passing and quick transitions. Farioli encourages aggressive high pressing, challenging opponents near their own goal to win the ball back in dangerous areas. So we've seen a lot of that already. He's known for adapting his tactics based on the opponent, which is good, including adjusting the pace of attacks and the intensity of the high press. Farioli's teams focus on finding space between defenders, creating advantages on the wings, and overloading the opponent's penalty box. He often utilizes a high-intensity man-marking system to disrupt the opponent's playmaking and prevent them from dictating the game's tempo. When defending deeper, his teams tend to stay compact, protecting central areas and forcing attacks towards the sidelines. He encourages fluid movement and rotations within the system, allowing players to interchange positions and create space. And Farioli places importance on the movement and relationship of his wide players, with fullbacks often occupying the inside lanes. So there you go, more inversion, to create passing options and overload the opposition. I mean, it doesn't sound too dissimilar to Ange Postecoglou, right? Has anyone got any insights on this guy? I don't really. I mean, I don't because of the shenanigans. I've lost access to a lot of my my subscriptions to like European football and that, and so I don't really I haven't had a chance to watch him. But obviously, he choked on the last day of the season. So my intuition thinks not really that interested. But maybe that's just because I don't know anything about him. I literally don't know much about him apart from what I've read. So if anyone can fill me in, let's have a look. Has anyone got any takes on it? I think Sean will agree. The only problem you have with Levy is that he can't keep his nose out of your footballing decisions. Other than that, your club is run well. 100%. 100%. Shawnee Rhodes, that's it, the wrestler, yeah. Hit the likes, people, says Michelle. 100% Michelle, appreciate that. Hit the likes, guys. Hit the likes if you enjoy the kind of financial stuff. There's 350 of you here, so I would love to see the number at 150 or 200 if we can. I doubt it's anything like that right now, but I'll trust you. I'll leave it to your decision making. Leave it into your heart. If you can draw a like button out of your heart, it's free to do. Although I know that like 40% of you watch this stuff on TV, so it's not easy to hit the like button. No thanks to Farioli, says Ben. We need a Frank type manager, no frills, and methodically gets on with his job and scouting good cheap players like Mbeumo. Yeah, but it wasn't Thomas Frank that scouted Mbeumo, was it? It was their system, their ecosystem. Which again, by the way, not to bring it back to finance all the time, but fucking hell, there's probably about. I remember when we were first linked to David Blitzer, like, was it January or last November or something? I did a video on it. David Blitzer's Blackstone group. I looked through, because you can get a list. I'm not sure, I don't know where it was quite difficult to find. I think you had to use a CNBC app or something. I looked through a list of their investments and I filtered by data, sort of technology and data mining and data utilization, all that sort of thing. And there was like, I'd say 50 companies in their portfolio that were somewhere between, like 10 million valuation in dollars and like 100 million valuation, something like in a reasonable ballpark. And about maybe like 10% of them had some overlap into sport. And I was like, that's what you want to do. Just go and buy one of them. Just go and buy a fledgling data mining company and do exactly what Tony Blooms does and Matt Benham, right? Matthew Benham and Bloom are like they're the same essentially. They do the same thing. One of them's got Starlist, and the other one I think's got Sporting Odds or something. I forget the name of the his company. But they both do the same thing, right? They just take wealthy investors' money and then they just go and identify bets that are undervalued relative to the expectation based on the data that they look at. And then they go and just take that investor's money and they just lump it on certain outcomes, and they're more likely to win because they basically figured out the science of betting. And so the byproduct of that is that they have all this data around sports and players and their techniques, and they're not using the Y Scout. I'm sure they probably do include the Y Scout in it, but they have like, a bunch of so much data, so much access. Tottenham just need to do that. Tottenham just need to do that. Do that, Tottenham. It's not that difficult. Just go and buy a company, and there's hundreds of them that do the same sort of thing that Star Lizard do, and we're good. How much money did you spend on Brian Hill? Would you rather have a Brian Hill or would you rather have a Star Lizard? It's not rocket science. Where did we get to on this Fabioli fella? Fabioli was one of my suggestions, says Inner Hype. Okay. We're going to sign a manager who bottled a 9-point lead. Yeah. No thanks to Farioli. We need a Frank type. That's what Ben said that already. No thanks. He was shortlisted for Bayer Leverkusen. Interesting. I think his mentor was Zerbi. I think he learned from De Zerbi. So, make of that what you will. Perisic is at PSV. What's that got to do with anything? But yes, he is. Did someone say Perisic was at Ajax? Or are you just saying it because PSV won the league? No Prem experience again. I'll be Farioli out from day one. I'm not going to wait 18 months. I'm not waiting 18 months. I'm day one, bro. Love that negativity. Sensational. You need someone who has a football philosophy to appoint your next coach, not an accountant. Yeah. Well, Paratici, right? You'd hope it'd be Paratici. Farioli out already. No inverted fullbacks. F off. Day one. I was Farioli out from day one, day zero, mate. It sounds like you're a 0 day outer. We haven't even started yet, and we're out. Love it. We're on the let's turn this channel into a Farioli out channel. Francesco Farioli has left Ajax with immediate effect this morning. The Boonverse. All right, Booney. Good to see you. I like that. Boonverse. Good name. Glasner is supposed to be leaving Palace at the end of the season. Yeah, he'd be a good guy, wouldn't he? I'd like to get him in. The end of the season's now, isn't it? Palace, or one more game, I guess, yeah. Bournemouth, Palace, or Brentford's manager. What are we waiting for? Where are you? Let's be having you. Ajax fans don't like him, says Jazz. Okay, interesting. Ange out, Farioli out. Fucking Tottenham out. Get them all out. Let's start again. I actually was toying with the idea of setting up a local team and just, using YouTube, doing what that hashtag United did, but doing our own version of it. That'd be fun. Although then I wouldn't be able to go to Tottenham and have the miserable time that I've had this season every year. Football's too boring, says Jazz. Yep. Although he choked, weren't Ajax 30-odd points off the top last year? Seems he did a good job. That's a good point. It was good, but not good enough. Welcome to Tottenham Hotspur, where no one's ever happy. No one's ever happy at Tottenham. That's not what you said yesterday. Yeah, but the goalpost moved. I changed my tune. Top 4 is a trophy. Give me back my top 4. We need who we need to run the squad. That's my take long term. But we need who we need. Yeah. We're just looking forward to Wednesday and ignoring the white noise. 100%. Frank develops players, says Michelle. Shawnee Rhodes, I think it is about right for a Spurs fan with his booking. He came via the Aspire Academy in Qatar, where he buddied up with this. Oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Thank you for filling me in there. You're doing a bit of research. Very fancy way of saying chat GPT for the win. Boyos. 100%. I thought Levy wanted 3.75 for the naming rights. Well, you lot are funny today. Chat's being funny. And I'm chat. Like to see it. Steve Jones, he wasn't Ajax manager last season. I think that's the point he's making. That last season, the manager screwed up, and then this guy came in and then improved relative to last season. Like, for example, if we were to bring in Oliver Glasner, and next season, with a couple of changes here or there, I won't bore you with the squad pivots, right? But if Oliver Glasner gets us to 10th, has he done a good job? Because this season we finished 17th. You know, I don't know enough about Ajax to know whether or not 30 points off the top is a horrendous, abnormal, event, or whether that's par for the course of them. I know they're not the same team that they used to be, are they? But like I say, I haven't really had a chance to really follow Dutch football this last year or so. It took over and they finished a lot better off than previous year. But yeah, okay, cool. Can't say I know enough about him to want him though. Yeah, same. I don't know anything about him, so I'll let you guys lead me on this one. Literally anyone with experience at a high level will be better than Ange, to be frank. To be frank. Lazy 8, Nicky boy. Remember for 34 months. Nick, I think you are my second longest channel member, and I really appreciate you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Yo, you say just go buy a data company, but we'd end up buying a crap one. That's true. That is true. They did develop their own one. But those guys are data scientists, right? They're nerds. They know what they're doing. Still waiting for my sponsorship, Katie's. Where are you, Thatchers? Where are you? We probably would end up buying a crap one, Nick. We probably would. But, that's why you go and find someone who knows what they're talking about in that sector. Go and find a Don Fabio. Don Data, we'll call him. Where's our Don Data? We need an attacking manager at youth development history with youth. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the template is quite clear. The only problem I think is people are saying let's go to a back three, right? And I'm like, yeah, that suits our back end of our squad. It suits the wing backs. It suits the centre backs as we currently have the squad. But I'm not sure. I think we might end up with being left with a lot of square pegs at the top end of the pitch in a back three, in a wing back system with a narrow front three. But because I don't, or you have massive issues with the midfield. I think we'll get run through. I think you do need 3 men in your midfield, and if your wing backs are there to provide the width, then what we're doing with Sonny, what we're doing with Johnson, yada yada yada, Yang, Mikey Moore, etc. So you've got too many. Then you've got too many wingers, not enough good ones, and then you also don't have a midfield that's strong enough to cope with a 2-man midfield. You need someone that's a beast, and I don't think we have it yet. But then I've been asking for that for 3,000 years, like the Bible. Trust in Ange and success will come. Ange and the team are 1 game away from football immortality. Remember, trophies are the metric of success, not league finish. Ange, we trust, and so should you. Oh look, I hear you. I know I can. I hear your passion and your loyalty to your boy. Yeah, I've seen through him, mate. To be honest, I've like, it took me a long. But I mean, I was kind of Ange out for a long time, but I was Ange out in my mind. But in my heart, I'd said I could give him the cups. And then ever since I've sort of given him that rope, I've now just started to see like I see through his words a little bit. And I don't buy into them like I used to. I don't get won around by them anymore. Now I just hear a guy that's like overly defensive, overly dismissive, and a little bit disrespectful at times. So not just to fans, but to the journalists. He doesn't do a good job at like keeping people on side. And I also think some of the squad, I think he's played favourites a little bit. So, yeah, I hear you like him, mate. I hear he's your boy. And I don't, to each their own. It's just not for me. Shawnee, I need your help. Okay. How can I help you, buddy? How can I help you? I like your logo. Is that cherry lips? Netflix and chill. Let me know what you need, buddy. He got kicked out of Nice and failed at Ajax. No thanks. We need a Spanish speaker to embrace the Latinos. Spanish or Portuguese manager, please. Silva found Frank out yesterday. As deserved to see out his 2 years left. No, he don't. They won, so I can say I told you so. I like that, Spurs King. It won't be Paratici making these decisions, will it? He'll make recommendations. Dan and Sean, my favorite Spurs content creators. Oh, and that's crazy. And that crazy chick, Yummy. And that crazy chick, Yummy. Who's the crazy chick? Who's Yummy? Who's Dan? That Dan E? Is that what you're talking about? I was on his show last night. He's like, oh, I like Dan. I don't know him very well. I've shared a screen with him a few times, but never had a chat or anything. But he seems like a good guy. I don't know who Yummy is. Ange needs 2 more transfer windows. Don't know about that. I'll be the food and beverage manager with Johnny at the football club. Yeah, mate, let's do it. But can we do it like where we can set up our own league, or like let's do like the Super League of Sunday League football and turn it into Wednesday League football or Monday night football, so that we can still be Tottenham fans. You know, I'll do the accounts. We'll get somebody else in who can coach. Anyone know a coach? You know, I'm not a football guy. I don't know how to coach. And I think we could find some players through the channel here. If we actually got all of the Tottenham channel, all of them, to get behind it, then we could call it like Tottenham Not Spurs or something, and go and get a field somewhere in like northeast, like north-ish London. That'd be fucking brilliant fun. I'd love to do that. It was such a cool venture. I just hope we do not have to wait until Paratici joins in July to appoint a new manager. We need a head start on this off-season activity. Yeah. Unfortunately, Paratici's not here until June, and neither's Vinny. So you hope that they're doing things in the background, but in terms of like who's going to be signing the dotted line, who's going to be making those things, looks like it's going to be Daniel Levy until at least another 40 days or so. Karatsus. Fuck, is that English? Karatsus Arakadoki? No, Arakadair and Sternberg from Genk would be a PSG level attack. I've never heard of any of them. Fucking hell! Isn't Genk where who was that geezer that we were talking about 2 summers ago? What was his name? I was like, it's done. It was never done. What was his name? Someone fill me in here. Someone fill me in. Patrick's already shorn out. Gift Orban. That's it, Baz. Was he at Genk? I think he was at Genk, wasn't he? Was he at Genk? Oh, he was at Ghent. Was he at Ghent, was he? I did mud. I think I did get mudded on that one, actually. I think that's the only relevant mudding that I got. I thought he was done. What happened to him anyway? Did he? I think there's still that story. The Asian girl. Who the fuck is the Asian girl Yummy? I've no idea who you're talking about. Oh, do you mean the Korean girl who does the on those highlight shows? Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the highlight, the goal celebration clips. Is that the girl you mean? Yummy. Is that her name? Yummy, is it? Or is that are you just saying that she's yummy? Is Gift Orban's at Leon, is he? I put the link in at Spurs Talk Show. You put the link. I put the link in. What did you do? Oh, you put the link in my chat, my WhatsApp. Okay, stay there. Let's have a look. See what's going on here. My phone is so tapped. Every time I pick my phone up, it's black and then it turns on the light over 8 seconds. It's so ridiculously hacked. The Spurs Express. What have you done, Brian? Not with Brian. Oh, Yummy's link. Oh, you put the link into Yummy's. Oh, where's Yummy? Let's have a look at Yummy. Should we look at Yummy? Let's have a look at her. It's okay. YouTube.com at Twitch Yummy 2. Is that a real name as well? Let's have a look. Twitch Yummy 2.
계산할 말인데 왜 이게 있을 것 같지? 왜 이길 것 같지?
Yummy.
Anyway, 24-25 EPL 34 round Liverpool versus Tottenham.
Right. Oh, let me get rid of that. Don't want to get. That's going to be copyright. Copyright strike. She is. Yeah, she's a content creator. Yeah, and Danny. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, funny girl. I've only ever seen her in highlight like Tottenham fan reactions or whatever they're called. So guys, yeah, that's the story, right? So what's his name? Fabioli. Ones and zeros, guys. Ones and zeros. 350 people in the chat. Are we doing one for Fabioli in, 0 for Fabioli out? Let me know. Fabioli in 1, Fabiola out 0. What are we doing here? Tottenham Hotspurs on board it. Aussie Ange haters on board it. Stevens no. Mash no. Marshall no. Driving my Hyundai. Driving my Hyundai. What are we doing here? Big up, Shawnee. Good to see you. Scott 0. Dave 0. Steve Jones no. James Miller no. Arsenal just a spicy Spurs. Yes. Looks like I'm going to have to be Fabioli out based on, democracy. Fabioli out! Get out of my club! Even though you're not here yet. You're out, bro. You're out. I am joining my man. Who was it who said he's out from day 0? Who was that? Who was it who said he's out from day 0? Spurs King. There you go. And so are we saying, is it Oliver Glasner? Is it Oliver Glasner's the one that you all want? One for Oliver. Let's go for W for Glasner. L for no Glasner. W and L. Let's find out what we're doing here. Ange out. Fabioli out. Everybody out. Fuck them all. Okay. Nicky Boy's saying W. Stephen Connor, W. Everyone wants Glasner. All right. WWWWF. L. Mashiek says no. Bursky. Sean out. Nick in. Sean in. All right, guys. Hour and 8 minutes. Any other stories? Yeah, so West Ham, by the way. Like, let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section. I think there's a problem brewing on the horizon there. I think that's pretty worrying. If you are someone that... Oh, where's my own TV talking to me? Yeah, don't think it's a great situation. In terms of anything else going on, let me just double check, see where we're at. News Now is my source of all of the clickbait in the business. Tottenham are now among the suitors for outcast Man United star who's certain to be on the move this summer. Who are Tottenham now the suitors for, according to Stretty News? StrettyNews.com. Jesus Christ. Marcus Rashford. Would you take Marcus Rashford to Tottenham if we were going to break the the new club's highest earner? I didn't believe it would be for him, but that's what Stretty News, obviously, is a local Manchester United blog or whatever. See, this is the caliber of content that I'm bringing to you. People say that I'm clickbait. I'm not. It's click worthy because where else are you going to read Stretty News on your daily walks? You know, where else are you even going to read it? Not even entertaining that, says Marshall. No chance. Not interested. Not just a reaction to the cup win either. I've been Glasner in for the last few months. Top draw coach who suits our players perfectly. This whole Premier League experience thing, says Michael, is so overrated. Just find a bloody good manager and he will do a job. Did Glasner have Premier League experience? What about Slot, Klopp, Pep? See, this is why I like Michael. You never hear him make an illogical or an irrational argument. He doesn't subscribe to irrationality. Do you, Michael? It's very true. Well, you make a good point. Premier League proven is probably more valuable for players than it is for managers because, you know, all you've got to do is still pick a team and coach a player. But players, if they're not used to the pace, it's different. What are we doing here? Let's go back to the Rashford thing. Rashford's on 300 grand a week. Ange plays a B team. And in the final, let these dickheads cry. Ange play a B team in the final. Let these dickheads cry. Wowzers! Are you a Spurs fan or an Ange fan, or not? Or are you a Man United fan or something? Are you? Let's have a look. Rashford, no Rashford ever. I don't like Rashford. To me, he's average. That clip after the earlier City match where Glasner says we'll work them out. Ange has never worked anyone out. Much like me, he probably hasn't worked out either for a while. Well, actually, no, that's unfair on him, isn't it? He's lost a bit of weight recently. Lost a bit of weight. Must be on the old jabs, slim jabs. Barney the dinosaur or Rashford is on 375 a week. No chance we do that. It's madness how much money they get paid, isn't it? Madness. How many players that earn more than 300 grand a week? In fact, let me see if I can find this list. How many Premier League players earn more than 300k per week? Here we go. There are 8 players currently earning 300 grand or more per week. This number has increased significantly from just one player in the 2011-2012. 888 Sports Betting lists Haaland, Salah, Sterling, Silva, Grealish, and Marcus Rashford. Was that 7? So Haaland's at City. Silva's at City. Jack Grealish is at City. Sterling was at City. Salah's at Liverpool. Rashford's at United. Let me see if there's other players here. Yeah. So and Kevin De Bruyne. Fucking hell. And Bruno Fernandes. So that you've got 3 Man United players who are earning 300 grand a week or more. You've got 4 City players and 1 Liverpool player. And then 2 Arsenal players, Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus, are on 280 grand and 265. Fucking hell. Kai Havertz is on 280 grand a week. Kai Havertz. Your Havertz a laugh, aren't you? Fucking this side is going down a rat-a-ta-ta today. Listen, I've been going for an hour and 13. I'm going to put this out there. If anyone wants to come on, and yeah, Casemiro must be on that as well. Yeah, maybe that date is old. If anyone wants to come on for 20 minutes and have a chat with me, there's the link. We'll have a chat. A chitty chat. But I'm going to be going until, what time is it now? If no one wants to come on, then I'll end off in a minute. But if you want to come on and have a chat about West Ham, chat about Tottenham, chat about Fabioli out! The fraud! Get him out before he comes in! Otherwise, I will leave you alone and say 7 o'clock tonight. 7 o'clock. Yeah, this, you know what? Yeah, look, this data can't be true because Casemiro is definitely on something close to that. Saka's on something close to that. Van Dijk is also on it. Yeah, what are we doing here? People? What are we doing here? All right. It's 7 o'clock tonight. I'm doing a stream with Barnaby Slater from the Spurred On podcast. I haven't worked with him before, but we've been talking in the background, and I think he's an intelligent guy and seems to be, he's He's got interesting. Oh, we've got Barry's coming on. Oh, hello, Bazza.
Oh, it'll be a Levy love fest tonight. Then you and Barnaby, the old Levy lovers together.
Is he a Levy-inner?
I don't know. I was just trying to cause some controversy as normal. When are you going to Bilbao?
Tomorrow, my flight's at 3:30, but I've got I booked the lounge from 12:30 till 3:30, and then I've also booked the lounge from 9:30 till 12:30, because you pay 45 quid for 3 hours, right? And I realised that they don't actually check what time your flight is. So when you're booking the lounge via a third party, they just say what flight are you getting on. So I picked my actual flight at 3:30. So well, you can arrive here at 12:30 and get involved. But there's no chance that I'm waking up tomorrow morning at like 8 o'clock in the morning and not getting straight on the booze, and enjoying it. So I was like, well, why don't I just go and book another lounge? And I was like, how can I do that? So I went back onto the same website and they said, what time is your flight? And I just picked a flight that happened to be at 12:30. So they went, okay, well, you can be here from 9:30. So now I've got 6 hours in the lounge before my flight for 80 quid.
Okay.
So I'm having breakfast and lunch and probably two-thirds of a bottle of Grey Goose before I get on the plane.
I mean, you could have just booked the 9:30 lounge and just stayed there. No, they're not going to kick you out.
You're so clever about that. So listen. If anyone in the chat doesn't know this man is organised, then Emerson Royal knows how to finesse. He knows how to finesse the system.
But also, you're gonna. I I want to know: are you going to get on the vodka, or are you going to get on the little bottle, little half pints of Moretti? I don't know what. I want to see a table of little glasses of Moretti where you just. Another one.
Yeah. You know, like when you're at the cricket and people are walking around with like fucking a
giant, the beer snakes. The beer snakes. I want to see Butler with the beer snake.
Yeah.
Just asleep, and they'll be like, "Excuse me, sir, was your flight not at 12:30?" You'll be like, "No, I booked 6 hours in here, mate. It's at 3:30. Do one. What's for lunch? What's for lunch?"
I'm gonna have to make that video now of Sean versus the attendant at the lounge.
Go fuck yourself.
Listen, people like Sean, you won't make the flight. Like there's only two outcomes here. One is I can handle myself. Like I can put on I can walk in a straight line. I can chew gum and walk at the same. You know, I can handle it. I get on the plane, pass out for a couple of hours, then I got to go and meet Henry Wright, and then God knows what shenanigans are going to turn up in Bilbao. But either that, or I'm going to pass out and I'll wake up and they'll go, "Sir, what time is it?" It's 3:30. I'm like, "Fuck, the plane's on Friday. You've been asleep here for 48 hours. We need your seat back." It's growing moss around you. So
are we going to get a hashtag no Helgas in Bilbao?
There's definitely I'm not looking for Helgas, mate. I'm moving. I'm swinging my style.
We need a senorita.
We need a senorita now, mate. I'm going brunette. Although that brunette in fucking Norway was just she was wank worthy, if I'm entirely honest.
And has there been any conversation since then? I guess not. No,
I text her mate, the one who gave me a number. She didn't get back to me, so yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, you sure that was her number? Yeah.
No, I don't know. I've got no idea, mate. To be honest, but the text went through. So
what we want to know, what we all want to know is Henry going, and how much have you conned him into this time?
Yeah, he's going. Yeah, he's staying in my room. Yeah.
Oh.
He said he's paying me because he said he booked the place. So my hotel was something like 600 quid a night or something, like really expensive. It's a nice hotel. It's a nice hotel, but it's no hotel's worth 600 quid a night in my opinion, unless you're like staying in a palace. And but it was obviously the prices were put up. And he booked a place that was like 45 minutes outside of Bilbao, and it was like 800 quid or so, or 900 quid for 3 nights or whatever. 800 quid, I think it was. And so he said, "Oh, can I come in and stay with you?" I said, "Well, yeah. I don't know. I guess you can." He said, "You want to check? Because I don't think that if you haven't booked it for 2 people." I was like, "Mate, I booked the fucking room. Like, there's 2 beds in there. Like, if they say you can't bring someone in, I'll say, like, yeah, okay, stop me." And he goes, "Well, I'll give you the money that I've saved on this hotel." I'm like, "Fair enough." So we're basically going halvesies. And I phoned up the hotel and said, yeah, look, my partner is going to arrive. There's someone I'm traveling with is going to arrive a little bit earlier than me. And he goes, yeah, no problem. She can just come and turn up at the door, come at the reception and just reference your name. And if you give us permission, I went, yeah, his name is Henry, right? And he went, oh, I see. And I went, it's not like that, mate. We're there for the football. All right? So it's not. I'm not saying it's like. Don't presume that it's a girl because I'm like, no. That's what we do. We're living in 2025. But by the way, I'm not like that. It's a football thing. It's a football thing and a football thing only. Okay, it's a single bed.
Not that Sean wants to say there's anything wrong with that because we're in 2025. I'm just trying to cover your bases, Sean, because you're going down an alley which I don't think you want to go down.
No, it was his alley. He presumed that I'd be traveling with a girl, and I said, no. Don't presume anything. It's 2025.
Yeah, don't presume anything, mate, because I ain't had a woman since a long time. So don't you worry about that. I'll get what I can get. Yeah, old Henry. He could be that brunette in Bilbao.
You put a wig on Henry and a little bit of makeup.
What's going to happen is the brunette from Norway is going to text you. You're in Bilbao, and then you
imagine.
Henry.
Get out. There you go.
Get out of here.
Henry will be in the lap. Henry will be in the lobby, just like passed out in a chair.
Yeah.
He'll be like, "What? Sorry, sir, I can't go up there." The big dog's got old what's her face from Bodo.
There's a tie on the door. There's a tie on the door handle. I can't come in. That's the rules.
A tie on the door.
Destiny's saying he would have closed the deal if he was there. Yeah.
Mega lad, Destiny, mega lad.
Big up. Henrietta.
Henrietta, yeah.
Pulling myself a Henrietta. What are we saying, boys? Are we Fabioli out before he even comes in?
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Why not? Why not be miserable? Why not be miserable at some point over the next 3 days because we're Spurs fans? You know?
I mean, look, why waste 18 months of torture? Let's just get straight on the bandwagon immediately, right? We know it's only going to go one way. So let's just say we've been day zeros. We are day zeros.
Day zeros. We are day zeros. And we can sit there and say, we said it first.
We said it first. First King said it first, but he said he's day one. But day one starts the first day he arrives. We're claiming before he even gets here, mate. Before he even arrives.
First Kings has missed out there, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
he's not thought about it, has he? He's not thought about it.
Benny boy, when are you getting out there to Bilbao?
I fly out Wednesday morning.
Oh, you're not hanging around?
No.
You flying back out Wednesday night?
No, flying back Thursday morning. My dad's got to do some business. He can't actually take a day off work. I told him, business.
Like James Bond. The Kaufmans are like James Bond, MI5.
No, except we're like the James Bonds, but worse. We're much worse.
Do you know I still haven't received my fucking ticket yet?
Have you not?
I'm still waiting for the...
Does it not get sent to the app?
Yeah, but there's nothing on the app.
Surely been scammed.
I think I've been scammed. I was like, mate, when's my fucking ticket arriving?
We've got to play it again, Nick. We're doing it again. We're doing it again.
You wait for app out.
But you went official. You went official UEFA, right? You didn't. That's because obviously you're not a true fan, Sean, because you don't go to games. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a flag made about you soon. By the way, after Henry's flag.
Oh, that was funny. I got to be honest. Like that guy Billy hates me, right? He hates me because I'm not Levy out like he is or whatever, not quite as Levy out as everyone else or whatever. But like. He put in a bit of effort there for that banter. He put in a bit of effort. Like I don't like banter's banter. It's all in good jest. To go out of your way to get a flag created.
Yeah, I thought that was fair play. I thought that was funny. What I also think is going to be funny is if those two meet up while they're in Bilbao.
No, he walked past us. He walked past us in Bodo, right? Because Johnny said to me. Because Johnny didn't really know Henry, right? And he goes, and Johnny obviously knows Billy, right? And Johnny goes to me, mate, who did I get the ticket with? I was like, oh, you got it for me and for Henry. He goes, is Henry Wright? And I went, yeah, why? And he went, oh. I was like, what happened? And he goes, he made a video about Billy. And I was like, I'd heard about it, but I hadn't seen it. But like, so what? And he goes, well, Billy's my mate. And I was like, yeah. Okay. And he goes, well, he's going to be out in Bodo. And I was like, okay. And he goes, I just don't want this to be any trouble. I was like, there's not be any trouble, is there? It's all like everyone has like, there's your armchair warrior Twitter stuff. And then there's real life. You know, the amount of times I've been called XYZ on Twitter, and then people come up to me at Tottenham games and go, are you Sean Butler? And I go, yeah, who are you? And then they tell me their Twitter handle. And I'm like, oh, you hate me, don't you? And they go, no, can I get a selfie? You know, it's so I'm like, there's a difference between like Twitter and real life. But anyway, yeah, Billy Kens walked past us as we were walking through the town looking for a restaurant. And he walks like, he sees us and he suddenly speeds up like really quick and walks past us like he's doing a walking marathon, where he's like his left foot like yeah. And he's got this smile on his face and he gives Johnny the nod and he glances at me. Obviously doesn't like me. I mean, I would have put my hand out and said hello if he wasn't walking at like 18 miles an hour. It was too fast. And then he looks at Henry and Henry just looks at him and they just both just ignore each other. And then that was it. So, yeah. And then 2 weeks later, there's a flag that's been made.
To be fair, that is you've got to, yeah. I mean, you've got to give Billy his props for that, because that was funny.
Yeah. But if I'm entirely honest, like I think the tweet that he put out saying, you know, I'm what did he say? I'm a little bit. What was the phrasing he said? Pedantic, not pedantic. It's the wrong word. And then like I'm childish or whatever. Essentially, he was saying, like, I'm going to get him back. It's going to be brilliant. I was like, if there's anyone that you don't want to get into a banter war with, in the Tottenham space at least, is possibly Henry Wright. And also Henry Wright has access to 60,000, you know, subscribers. So he might have won the war with the flag. But if Henry wants to, he can continue to say what he wants every day. About 60,000. How many flags is Billy going to be able to make? So I hope that Henry just lets it go. But you know.
It's only football at the end of the day.
It's only football. It's all fun.
Only football.
Yeah. What are you saying about the game, though, boys? Are you saying
we're winning because Nick's not there?
Oh, is that the rule? Is it?
Yeah.
Nick, have you got a track record of?
No, my. Let's just say that my away record. I know we're the home team, but we whatever jinxes we need, hexes we need to get rid of. We need to get rid of him. Let's just say I think I've won one away game in 8. So and that was Leeds United away on the last game of the season 2 seasons ago. So yeah, let's just say it's probably a good thing that I'm not there.
The problem is, Nick, you would have been watching it anyway. You'd just be like this during the game.
Oh yeah, I'd turn my back. I'd turn my back like I did on that Arsenal
game anyway.
Yeah.
You turned your back at the Arsenal away game?
Really be like this.
No, the Arsenal home game. Did you not see the tweet? It had like 2 million views.
You got so
Johnny would have got like so excited over the amount of views and insights that he got. I turned my back to a corner and then it got clipped. So,
what happened? What game was this?
The last
Spurs versus Arsenal, when they scored 3 goals in like the first half.
I scored from a corner and I turned my back and then I got clipped up. So
by who?
The internet, mate. Just you know, the internet and me just get clipped up. You know,
was it someone someone was near you and they were recording you? You were like, I'm
I was on the match day vlog. I was on the match day vlog with Ben and Sim, and then someone who had obviously watched it, some dirty gooner had watched it, and then clicked that bit and goes, "Look at this Spurs fan turning their backs on corners."
What were you? Why were you? So what you just went out like I'm not watching it, like I don't want to see it.
I was like, I'm not watching it. I know what's going to happen, and then they
did it happen?
No, you were watching the screen because you had a better view of the screen than you did of the actual.
Well, I mean, I could claim that, Ben, but that wasn't actually the reason. The reason was I knew what was going to happen, and I saw the future, and I turned my back, and I was like, and then I just went. Yeah, I'll have to find it. But yeah, that's
right. You're going to do it anyway, Barry. You're going to do it anyway.
2 million insights and views and everything else. Johnny would have got lost in Bodo looking for his insights on there. That's for certain. But Johnny better be careful, because I heard Johnny nearly got his little bag stolen earlier.
He did.
What?
He did.
In Bilbao.
Tried to pickpocket Johnny.
Yeah.
Really? Actually, that's not a bad shout because there'll be people out there that will be stealing those phones so they can get hold of the tickets, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So you be careful, Shawnee, and anyone else that's going.
Mate, I am the danger.
Now you've said it, yeah? You're the danger.
Now you've said it.
Sean, oh, guys, I haven't got a ticket. I spent all this money. I can't get in. Someone stole my phone. Don't curse it, Shawnee.
I'm knocking on wood for you. I'm not
After the fucking year I've had, mate. I've had my uncle passing away, my aunt being given like final last rites like 3 times and hanging on. My dad had cancer and his kidney taken out. I've had my life or half my life savings stolen from me, 3 businesses destroyed, my privacy taken, my memories stolen, my future is all opaque. I've had a fucking year. The one thing that would write this right off would be I get all the way out there, my ticket finally arrives, and I lose my fucking phone on the plane or something like Henry Wright.
and then Spurs won.
And then yeah.
Sean,
Yeah.
Sean
In the stadium, Sean. Where's your camera? Where's the scenes? I'm fucking stuck in a pub, and no one's gonna buy me a beer because I lost my wallet as well because that fucking phone thief took my Apple Pay.
If you lost your phone and then Spurs won a trophy, every time we were in a final, we'd have to organise to get your phone stolen so we'd win. It'd be the good omen.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. That's the new good luck charm. Make sure Sean gets robbed. Are we buying into any of the voodoo? Are we saying this is the year of the birds because the live bird, the eagle?
We're doing it again.
We're doing it again.
We're doing it again.
We are.
I love like Gary Neville's like. I like Gary Neville as a pundit. I think he's brutally honest. He obviously still wears, nails his colours to his mast. We all know which way he wants, and what he's saying. But I think he's legit when he says that he's got this horrible fucking feeling in his stomach that Tottenham are going to do it. And I made the argument last night. I think that the stakes are higher for Man United because they're financially fucked. They can't get rid of Rashford just because they don't want him anymore. Who's going to pay that 350 grand a week? Casemiro's on 300 and something grand a week, right? Bruno Fernandes. They can't afford another year out of the Champions League. They can't afford it.
Don't they get like 50, 60 million bonuses as well for winning the Europa League? How are they going to pay all that? They can't even put their staff on the plane. They're getting Bruno to cough up, Eric Cantona to cough up, Amarin's coughing up. They're going to do a barbecue. I mean, I don't know what. Oh, what are they going to do? Just hot dogs or something at this barbecue? They ain't going to do anything special. Mind you, Spurs are an absolute disgrace if we're talking about parades. 3 p.m. on a Friday. 3 p.m. on Friday.
What if we win the parade's on Friday?
3 p.m.
Really?
Yes.
So I'm stuck in Bilbao and I'm missing the fucking parade.
When are you coming back?
Friday.
Yes, then.
Yes.
It's bank holiday on Monday. It's a bank holiday on Monday, so they could have organised it for them, no?
That's a disgrace. Why so soon?
Don't know.
Is it because we know that as soon as the final whistle goes on Sunday, Ange Postecoglou is going to be sacked? Is that why?
Probably.
That's probably the logic, right? That there's no, you can't. That the Sunday will be thanks Ange, see you later, regardless of what happens, and so we can't have the bus parade on Monday because it would be a fucking embarrassment if we have Oliver Glasner on the fucking bus. I did nothing. I wasn't here.
But the game finishes what times? If it's going to finish like 6 o'clock, they're going to do a little parade walk around the pitch, whatever, like they do, clapping, what have you. They could have done it after the game. They could. I mean, it's so unthought through as usual.
What's going to happen is there's going to be something that goes wrong, and the players are all going to be stuck in Bilbao, but the Levy's going to go home with a trophy. So they're going to do the trophy parade at 3 p.m. on the Friday, and the only person that's going to turn up is Daniel Levy. It's just going to be Daniel Levy holding the trophy going down. See, I brought a trophy.
It's his trophy, mate. Listen, let me ask you this, right? Let me ask you this. Barry, you're the king of receipts, right? I'm the prince of receipts. I keep receipts, but Barry's got a memory like an elephant dick, right? It's long. And I think that Barry, I'm gonna require you to keep an eye out on the reaction, because I'm not someone that thinks that the buck stops at the top, right? So I spent the last 3 years saying it's a fine argument to make. If you want to say the buck stops at the top, then it's fine. I personally think that people that are employed and paid lots of money as experts in their various divisions should be held accountable. And so if we win, I will not be sitting there saying Daniel Levy has won us the trophy, just like everyone says that Daniel Levy is responsible for our failures. I won't be doing that. I'll be giving the credit to Ange. I'll be giving the credit to the players. I'll be giving the credit to the club. And of course, by proxy of that, Daniel Levy gets the reprieve. But what I will be doing is keeping an eye out on whether or not the people that do say the buck stops at the top are going to offer the good credit when the buck stops at the top for the success that we haven't had. And if we do get it, are you going to be? Can I rely on you, Barry, to be my third and fourth eye on this one? And
I think Sava said it earlier, right? He said since 2009, we've been in 10 semi-finals, 5 finals. We've had 7 top 4 finishes and 13 top 6 finishes. So, for all the people that hate Daniel Levy, and
say it again.
So since 2009,
our last trophy, yeah.
Well, 2008.
2008.
No years.
February 24th, 2008.
But since 2009, 10 semi-finals.
Since our last trophy.
Yeah. So since our last trophy, let's do that, and then we're both right. Yeah, we're both right that way, because we don't want to say I was right and you were wrong and la 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 la. We don't do that on Spurs Talk Show. 10 semi-finals, 5 finals, 7 top 4 finishes, and 13 top 6 finishes. So
1 top 20 finish.
Okay, but all I'm going to say is, to those people that are Levy out, like really bad Levy out, you do have to give some props here if we're winning this.
You got called to get props,
because what I can already see, and Sava said this as well, he can already see the argument. It won't be 1 trophy in however many years; it'll be 2 trophies in however many years. But name a side that's been in 2 European finals in the last 6 years. If you were saying that about your football club, you're going to bite your hand off it. So
100%. And not only that,
not only that, at anyone. So please don't say
on Wednesday,
Barry was shooting digs at Levy outers and all of this.
He's doing it.
I'm just saying.
Clip it, people.
I'm trying to help you here, Sean. Don't you clipping no one. I'm good at clipping it for myself. I can put myself in the mud. I don't need anyone else. In a minute,
Daigle's going to call me. In a minute, Daigle's going to call me and be like, "Right, Nick."
But the point here is,
where's that fucking link? Where's that fucking StreamYard link? I need to come on and Barry.
I'd give it to him.
The point is, listen. The point is, right? We have to sit there and go, fair play. For all the good, for all the bad, like you're saying that we throw, for all the good, we wanted a trophy. We wanted this. You can't say when it's the bad thing, it's Levy's fault, and when it's the good thing, it's someone else's. It's
luck or it's fortune, right? Or it's fancy. Exactly. Consistency is all I ever asked for. But you know what
I'm going to say is someone that is very Levy.
Yeah, let's hear what you're going to say, Ben, because you're here and you're a voice.
He's back to manager with all the players he wanted, and they won a trophy. So Levy out's going to be like, "We told you to back a manager."
Okay.
I told you so, Brigade.
You see what happens, Daniel?
Let's see what happens when you back a manager. Big up, Brennan Johnson. I'm coming for you.
Genuinely.
Nick has been slaughtering Brennan Johnson and Jed Spence and Pedro Porro. The moment Emerson Royal leaves, we win a trophy.
Look, all I'm going to say is,
you're in the mud, Barry. You're in the mud.
You're in the mud.
Right, Ben, all I'm going to say is,
mud bath man.
All I'm going to say is, I don't know about you, Sean. I don't know if I'm ready for Sim to put us all in the mud bath, because he's going to be like, he's going to be unbearable. He's going to be unbearable, isn't he? But the point here is, was Harry Kane the problem all along?
Emerson Royal was part of the problem.
No, he was part of the problem. He was also part of the solution.
We've got to immediately go on the attack at my buddy Angus, our buddy Angus, Nick. And we got to say that Bukayo Saka needs to leave Arsenal to win trophies. Because if Tottenham can win a trophy, so can Bukayo Saka.
Do you know what else? Do you know what else?
Trophies.
You know what else happens, right? If we win on Wednesday, then there's going to be a scramble for flights to Udogie, because on August the 12th, we'll be in the Super Cup final against PSG and/or Inter Milan. And if we beat Inter Milan, the last few times we played Inter Milan, we've had their, we've had a decent.
No, not at the San Siro, Shawnee. They beat us both times at the San Siro 2-1.
Well, he's not played it. So
we beat them at Wembley.
With the Udinese Stadium, the San Siro. No, it's not.
No, Udinese play in what they play in Udinese.
What's the date, Shawnee? What's the date?
August 12th, right? I've already got my flights.
We usually don't do well in Italy. The last time we won in Italy was AC Milan in the 1-0. We lost to Fiorentina. We lost to Inter Milan twice. We drew with Juventus.
Gareth Bale scored a hat-trick, so you know.
No, that was the one before that. So we lost to Inter Milan 4-3. Then we beat them 1-0. And then we beat AC Milan 1-0 at the San Siro. Right. Peter Crouch and Aaron Lennon.
Yeah.
Bale was injured, so Stephen Pienaar played on the left. That was that was the day Flamini broke Chorluca's ankle with a 2-footed tackle.
That's right. Yeah, crazy.
I don't know how I remember this shit.
But if we do win in Udinese, then Tottenham will have achieved in 6 weeks what Arsenal have not achieved in their entire existence.
We'd be champions of Europe, Sean, because we'd be the champions of Europe because we won the Super Cup.
We'll be in the Club World Cup in 2029.
Oh my God,
that's too far away, Sean.
Yeah, but don't worry about that. Right? Don't worry about that. What happens then is that the Levy out thing just evaporates into non-relevance, right?
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
It does.
I am one of only 50 people that have been to all 3 Change for Tottenham protests.
I was there, Shawnee, so I'm another one of the 1 of 50.
Ben, all I will say, we win on Wednesday, it's finished. It's over.
It's finito.
Done. You know, Shawnee, when Shawnee says something's done, 85%, I think, is what his ratio is. 85. I'll give him 85%.
85% of the time, I'm right every time.
He's got a couple of stinkers wrong. But
what was I wrong about when I said it's done?
Qatar investment done. You said it was done.
No, I didn't say it was done. I didn't say it was
sure.
No.
You want me to get the receipts?
No. I said it's done, but it hasn't been announced yet. But it's done.
Oh, it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't. I'm using the stone. I'm invoking the stone cutter analogy on this one. It's done when it's done, and I don't know. I don't got to worry about it until it's done, but it's done. Okay, so I'm not wrong about that. It's not right.
Stone cutters in The Simpsons. You got to carry a boulder by your bollocks up a hill.
Done. Let me check the group. Let me just check the group, Shawnee. It's not going to take me long.
No, I said it was done, and it is done.
It's done. Done. Yeah. Anyway, it is done.
If you put in Don, then it comes up because I put in like Don Caratici, Don Corleone, Don. It's Donna Kebab.
Sorry, do you want me to find out 8,000 matches? It's got in the group 8,000. I'm not checking 8,000 messages.
But listen, if we do win the Super League, then we will have achieved what Arsenal have failed to achieve in their entire existence, which is two European trophies in 6 weeks. On that basis, Levy out.
Why are we bagging on a team that's never won a European trophy?
They're so beneath us, aren't they? They're so beneath us, Ben. You're right. It's just not.
It's not for everyone being European royalty.
100%. 100%. What time's your flight tomorrow on Wednesday, Ben?
11 o'clock.
Oh, so you're not even going to get time to get drunk with me, are you?
I'll be there at 2 o'clock. How many hours do you need to get drunk, Shawnee? 7 hours. 6
before the flight. 2 on the flight.
You didn't miss. He's got 2 lounges booked.
It's part of my culture. Don't fuck with the culture. Right, lads. Predictions.
3-1 Spurs.
I love that.
What?
3-1 Spurs.
1-0 Spurs, and I know that Sonny is going to absolutely mud me for all the hate that I've been giving him this season. But do you know what? It's been valid and it's been warranted, and I'm quite fine. I'm quite fine with Sonny coming off the bench and putting me in the mud for us to win a trophy. I'm absolutely fine with it. But I'm not fine. I'm not fine with Sim. I won't be fine with Sim.
Oh, sorry, just quickly. I was waiting for someone to take the bait, and Terry O'Shea has taken the bait. It's very far from just an argument about Faye you and leaving, but that's all Sean said it's about. Terry, don't take it. Don't take it. I can't help it, Sean. I can't help it.
Big up, Terry. I love Terry.
Big up, Terry.
Big up, Terry.
Big up, Tailboy. Chris Ogomba, 2 lounges. Shawnee, 2 lounges.
You'll never sing that.
Yeah, exactly. You'll never sing that. I'm going for a 1-0 Stinkfest of all Stinkfests. No, a 0-0 Stinkfest of all Stinkfests, and then a goal in either extra time or a penalty shootout. Stay with me a couple of seconds, guys. Just got to set up a redirect over to a certain man who's known for his connoisseur of the coffee. The coiffeur. How do I get it? How do I do this? Let me do this.
I'm more known for being a fair weather fan, apparently.
What am I doing here? Hang on. Dark details, customization, redirect. There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay where you are. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hand you over to the wonderful dulcet tones of Mr. Ben Kaufman over at the coffee. Are you ready to go on your own channel right now?
I'm about to jump. I'm ready to go.
All right, guys. I want to say massive thank you for Jesus Christ, what an ending! We're getting battered 3 or 4-0.
No, we're not.
I think it's going to be one of those days. We'll see. Like the stream, smash the like, smash the subscribe. I'll see you for some live content this evening at 7. I'll see you then in all my drunken glory Tuesday night in Bilbao and Wednesday morning for some live streams from the heart and the center of the action. Smash the like, smash the subscribe. Do let me know if you did watch this stream what you think about West Ham in the comments, because I think that's a problem we've got to talk about over the summer. But we'll like it there and we'll leave it there. Stay where you are, guys, because Ben's about to take you on to his show, and I'll leave you guys with the wonderful phrase of, come on, you Spurs. Ciao.
Bye.